I want to call the February 10th, 2022 Daviess County Fiscal Court meeting to order. Commissioner Koger, would you lead us in a prayer and the pledge?
I will. May we pray. Lord, we praise and thank you for all your blessings. Please continue to guide the members of this body in your willful direction. Lord, remind us that it is you that we truly serve and serving the citizens of this community. We praise you for your entrusting us to lead our county. Pray for our firemen, policemen, our military first responders to always be safe. All this we pray throughout our Lord Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Commissioner Koger. And once again, I want to welcome everyone to our February 10th, 2022 Daviess County Fiscal Court meeting. Before we get started, I want to remind everyone that we are on Facebook Live this evening because COVID has kind of kept us in that manner here for the last, year and 6 months at least. I look forward to the day that we can open those doors and have individuals come and step up to the podium and address us. And I think we're going to get there because we have gone from almost 400 cases per 100,000 people a day 4 weeks ago to under 100 cases today. So I even saw some orange counties a couple days ago. So we're getting there. But if the public has a question or comment during the meeting, you may post that question or comment on Facebook Live, or you can contact us at 270-929-1010 by voice or text. So on Facebook Live right now, you can text or you can email us a question or a comment, and I will stop at the end of each item on the agenda and see if there are any comments or questions. Now, we are on a delay, a 30-second delay, I think, so it may be that I don't get to you in time. If I do, I promise I'll go back and we'll catch you. During the public's comment period where we ask for comments on anything other than on the agenda, again, I will announce that. We will give you a chance to make your comment or ask your question, and then at the very end, I will go back and see if anybody did so. We have two folks. We have Commissioner Caslin and our county attorney, Claude Porter, who are joining us via live or via Zoom this evening. So things will go a little differently, a little slower, but we'll get through it. Jenny, you ready?
Item 1, consideration for approval, minutes of the January 26, 2022 Daviess County Fiscal Court meeting.
Motion approved.
Second. I have a motion and a second. Commissioners, you've all had a copy of the minutes in your possession for some time. Are there any questions, additions, or deletions? Hearing none. Commissioner Koger?
Pass.
No, how do you vote? Aye?
Aye.
Aye, okay. Commissioner Wathen?
Aye.
Judge Mattingly votes aye. Commissioner Caslin?
Aye.
Ayes have it. Anyone opposed? I suppose not, unless there's more than 4 of us. Next item, Jenny.
B, all claims for all departments.
Move to approve. Second.
I have a motion and second. Commissioners, once again, you've all had a copy of the bills due and payable by Daviess County Fiscal Court in your possession for some time. Any questions of the treasurer? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. Commissioner Wathen?
Aye.
Judge Mattingly votes aye. Commissioner Caslin?
Aye.
Commissioner Koger?
Aye.
The ayes, are there any nays? Hearing none, motion passes. Next item, Jenny.
C, amended Sheriff's Department 2022 budget.
Move to approve. Second.
I have a motion and a second. Mr. Hendricks.
As you know, the court has to approve the sheriff's budget by January 15th of each year and report to DLG. But the Department of Local Government doesn't release certain information that affects salary and pension benefits until the end of January. So this amendment to the sheriff's budget is simply reflecting the updated information that we've received after the initial budget was approved. The net result is an increase to the budget in the amount of $30,597 on a total of a $6.3 million budget, which is less than 0.5%. I have reviewed the request. It is in order, and I request approval.
Questions or comments? There being none, Judge Mattingly votes aye. Commissioner Caslen,
Aye.
Commissioner Koger,
Aye.
Commissioner Wathen. Any opposed? There being none, motion passes. Next item.
D, Audit Engagement Letter with MCM for fiscal year 2022.
Move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Mr. Hendricks.
This agreement is the engagement letter for the annual audit that we're required to have. The state has declined to audit us this year, and we have permission to request an outside auditor. We've used MCM before and have been satisfied with their services. I've reviewed it. It's similar to prior years. The fee only increased by $1,000, and it's in order. I request your approval.
Commissioners, any question or comment? There being none, Commissioner Koger,
Aye.
Commissioner Wathen,
Aye.
Judge Mattingly votes aye. Commissioner Caslen,
Aye.
any opposed? There being none, motion carries. Next item, Jenny.
E, utilize the option to elect the standard revenue loss allowance for $10 million of the 2021 American Rescue Plan Act funding.
Move to approve. Second.
I have a motion second. Mr. Hendricks.
In 2021, Daviess County Fiscal Court was notified that it would receive $19.7 million of funds from the American Rescue Plan Act, or ARPA. We would receive those funds in two payments, half in 21, half in 22. The Treasury issued interim guidance laying out the eligible project categories. In January of 22, the Treasury issued their final rule. In reviewing the final rule, we learned that the revenue loss provision had been modified, and it went from a multi-year calculation to now a standard loss allowance of up to $10 million. The $10 million could then be spent on normal government services unless expressly prohibited by the Act. For example, the fund still could not be used to lower a tax directly or indirectly. They cannot pay pension liability costs, cannot pay judgments, and a few other things. But the standard loss allowance was designed to simplify both the determination of the loss and the reporting burden that are placed on the entities. After review and after discussions with the court members, staff is recommending that the court elect the standard loss allowance of up to $10 million of ARPA funds. If approved, then the ARPA funds would most likely be allocated to two projects: the broadband project, which we previously discussed, and the standard loss allowance, which would be spent on government services. The item on the agenda is the court's approval to elect the standard revenue loss allowance, and I recommend approval.
Commissioners, questions or comments? While we wait for any comments from the public, Jim, this is, I think the federal government listened to local governments in particular and decided that what they had originally said they wanted done was going to be way too complicated.
They did, but because they realized we had noticed there was a lot of nuances that you really didn't have an ability to adjust for. If you raised or lowered a tax during the period that they're looking at, that clearly affects your revenue loss calculation. But there was no mechanism to adjust for that. And I think there may be now, but they did a calculation and came up with the 10 million. And this, I guarantee you, most agencies will go this route.
And I think the reason we're moving now is we really were told by the federal government we needed to make this election as quickly as possible.
It's a one-time election. We can't reverse it. And the last report that went in January 31st is where you were supposed to make that election.
Okay.
So we're going to finish it up, and if approved here.
Any other question or comment? There being none, Commissioner Wathen,
Aye.
Judge Mattingly votes aye. Commissioner Caslen?
Aye.
Commissioner Koger?
Aye.
Are there any nays? There being none, motion passes. Next item, Jenny.
F, award the following bids. 1, 2022, a new dump truck for the landfill. 4, 2022, 2 new fifth wheel road tractors transfer station.
Motion approved. Second.
I have a motion and a second. Mr. Johnson?
Yes, Judge. Starting with bid 1, 2022, this bid is for the provision of 1 new dump trailer for the West Davis County landfill. You will note that we received a single bid. We reached out to several vendors whom we expected to participate to see why they chose not to, and all stated that their 2022 order schedules were full or nearly full, and that they will not be placing orders for 2023 until fall of this year. They also added that due to the pandemic's effects on the market, they've been seeing weekly price increases, making it difficult to lock in a price with our bid process and assume that risk. That said, the single bidder is a well-known supplier that had an order slot available by which to bid the item, and their price was within the expected range. We recommend award to the only bid received submitted by Superior Manufacturing Incorporated for the 2023 RC 2454 Superior unit in the amount of $47,875. There were no exceptions to our bid specifications. This is a budgeted item, and I would recommend approval.
Questions or comments? There being none, Judge Mattingly votes aye. Commissioner Caslen?
Aye.
Yes, I'm sorry.
She read 2 bids out, and he's only explained 1.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you, Commissioner. Was there any questions regarding the first item? There are none, so George, go ahead. I forgot the procedure that I'd set up years ago.
Bid 4, 2022, this bid is for the provision of 2 new fifth wheel road tractors for the Grimes Avenue Transfer Station. We offered a trade-in for each unit as detailed on the evaluation report that you have. We also include a bid option 1, which is a 60-month, 500,000 miles engine and exhaust after treatment extended warranty, which we have been including on all new road tractors. You will note we received a single bid, and upon reaching out to other vendors who typically participate, we received the same answers as we did for bid 1, 2022. That said, the single bidder is a supplier we've used for multiple road tractors and walking floor trailers. They had order slots available to accommodate our bid, and their pricing was within the expected range. We recommend award to the only bid received submitted by Vomac Truck Sales and Service Incorporated for the 2 2024 Mack Anthem 64T units exercising the trade-in options and bid option 1 for both units in the total net amount of $254,510. These items will be in next year's budget, as you're aware the court chose to bid them early due to the lengthening lead times on delivery. The exceptions were minor, and I would recommend approval.
Commissioners, questions or comments?
My only question, we are
Yes, sir.
trading those 2 items in, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thanks.
Any other question or comment? Okay, on the awarding bids 01-2022 and 04-2022, Judge Mattingly votes aye. Commissioner Caslen?
Aye.
Commissioner Koger?
Aye.
Commissioner Wathen?
Aye.
Any nay votes? Hearing none, motion passes. Next item.
G, reject the following bids. 02, 2022 PVC pipe for landfill cell construction. 3, 2022, a new single axle dump truck.
Move to approve. Second.
I have a motion second. Tell us why we're turning these bids down.
Beginning with bid 2, 2022, this bid was for the provision of PVC pipe per our bid specifications for cell construction at the West Davis County landfill. We received a single bid with pricing outside of our expected range. Our consultant engineering firm for the solid waste department notified us that there's a scheduled pipe equivalent to the specified SDR pipe in our bid, which may attract more bidders and more competitive pricing since very few suppliers carry the type of bid that we specified. This equivalent pipe will be allowed for our application per our regulations. Also, it should be noted that we do not need this pipe for the cell until late fall of this year, so this delay will not affect any operations. We recommend to reject all bids and rebid this item at a later date with our specifications highlighting the allowable equivalent pipe.
Commissioners, questions? Next bid item.
Bid 3, 2022, this bid was for the provision of one new single-axle dump truck for the road department. We received a single bid with pricing well outside our expected range that was in complete exception to our specifications. And after reviewing this with the road department and their management, they believe that we can work with vendors and revisit the specifications to more accurately build what they need. This unit differs from the average dump truck, differs from all other dump trucks in our fleet, which cause complications on finding a viable vendor given the market. We recommend to reject all bids and rebid this item at a later date with altered specifications.
Question or comment? Okay, we're going
Big deal.
to, I'm sorry?
Al, do we, Judge, do we have a timetable on when that rebid might happen?
For which item?
I'm sorry.
For which item?
Either one of them, because you're talking about rebidding both of them.
The pipe bid should go out in the next 2 weeks. We will rebid the truck within the next month.
2 weeks, 2 to 4 weeks.
Okay, thank you.
I think the other consultant that we have on that piping was right. Any other questions or comments? All right, so to reject the bids 02-2022 and 03-2022, Commissioner Caslen,
Aye.
Commissioner Koger,
Aye.
Commissioner Wathen, Judge Mattingly votes aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, item passes. Next item.
H, promote Jason Hawkins as service technician effective February 14, 2022.
Motion approved. Second.
I have a motion and a second, Commissioners. This is just a move up the ranks for Jason Hawkins. I want to tell Jason congratulations on his promotion. Any question or comment? There being none, Commissioner Koger.
Aye.
Commissioner Wathen. Judge Mattingly votes aye. Commissioner Caslen.
Aye.
Any opposed? There being none, the motion carries. Next item.
I, promote Jeff Martin to heavy equipment operator at the landfill effective February 14, 2022.
Move to approve. Second.
I have a motion and a second. Again, this is promotion of Jeff Martin. I want to congratulate Jeff on moving up in his department. Any question or comment? There being none, Commissioner Wathen.
Aye.
Judge Mattingly votes aye. Commissioner Caslen
Aye.
and Commissioner Koger.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? There being none, motion carries. Next item.
Item 2, consideration for discussion, A, first reading of KOC A.100.04 2022, budget amendment number 4.
Commissioners, this is a first reading. There is no vote, no decision to be made. Mr. Hendricks, explain to us what's going on.
This is the first reading. We have been awarded 2 grants that were not included in the original budget. So all this is doing is putting those grants in that budget. The first one's an EMA grant that I believe is for a generator. And we don't know what the total amount is. I think the original amount was started out about $75,000, but until we get the bid out in place, we don't know. So I just doubled it so we don't have to do this twice. So we'll actually just spend whatever the actual amount comes back, and we got a grant for most of it. There is a match, but it's not significant. The other is for an LEPP grant, and that amount is exact. It's for the jail bulletproof vest. As you recall, we redid that bid, and this is the award. So it's in a total of $34,500.
Commissioners, any questions of the treasurer? Jenny, next item.
B, first reading of KOC 220.36, 2022, an ordinance repealing the imposition and collection of an insurance premium license fee on insurance companies for the privilege of doing business in Daviess County outside the city limits of Owensboro, effective July 1, 2022.
Commissioners, again, first reading, so we won't vote on it. Mr. Hendricks, tell us what we're doing.
The insurance premium tax was increased by 4% to help with the downtown project, particularly the convention center. That 4% was added into two pieces, one in July 1 of 2009 and then again in 2010. So we've collected 4%. We had a provision in the original ordinance that said once we had collected enough revenue to service the bond debt, the tax had to come off of the rate. And we've been monitored for years, and we, last year, as you recall, July 1st, we were going to grossly over-collect. We can only lower the rate once a year. So we did lower the rate from the 4% down to 2.3%, and so that we didn't grossly over-collect. And those collections have come in as predicted, so we will have collected enough money by the end of this fiscal year, or June 30th, to service the remainder of the bond. So this ordinance is repealing the ordinance that put the 4% and then the 2.3% in effect. So we're repealing the ordinance effective July 1st of 2022. At that point, the insurance rate will return to the original 4.9%.
Ms. Hendricks, I know that last year after we reduced it some, we got a call or two from people who said they didn't get a reduction. What do we say to them? What did we find out in our investigation?
The ones that I'm aware of were actually in the city limits. And this does not work like property tax. You know, property tax, everyone who lives in the county pays county property tax. Insurance premium is different. So if you live inside the city limits, you pay them the rate. If you live inside the city limits of Whitesville, you pay, I think they have an insurance premium rate.
I think so.
And you pay them the rate. And then if you live outside those two, then you pay it to Daviess County. So our ordinance only applies to people who do not live in the incorporated city limits of Whitesville or Owensboro.
So those folks that were on Facebook last week and they read about this, and they said, well, you're only reducing those in the county. And somebody said, well, you live in the county. Yes, they live in the county, but they also live inside the corporate limits of the city, who has their own insurance tax rate, and we cannot remove that or have anything.
No city resident pays this
Daviess
tax.
County tax. That's correct. That's correct. Okay. Question or comment?
The summary statement is the people in the city, this change will not affect them at all.
That's correct.
That is correct. Commissioners, particularly Commissioners Castle and Commissioner Watson, and I know Commissioner Koger is very pleased as well, since he and I are in our last years to be able to do this. Number one, we said we would when we refinanced it. The previous court said that they would take it off when we had accumulated enough to cover it, to pay the debt back. And this is roughly 6 to 7 years early. So
The original bond was 2030.
2030.
So we took 6 years off when we refinanced it at the lower rate.
Okay.
And we kept paying the same so we could keep producing it. And the natural increases in insurance premiums have yielded an extra year or two.
Well, I would remind people too that when you get your insurance bill, there's more than just insurance premium tax on the bill, and that insurance rates do go up. Sometimes they come down as well. So, Commissioners, it's nice to be able to do this for the citizens that live outside the corporate limits. Wish we could do it for those who live inside the corporate limits, but we don't control their tax rates. Let's see. Before I go on, David, Jordan, anything? Okay, no comments. Next item, Jenny.
C, other business to be brought before the Davis County Fiscal Court. I'm not aware of any.
Okay?
D, public comments.
This is time in our meeting during which we would ask if the courtroom was full of the public, we would ask them to come forward to the podium, identify themselves, and they would be willing, or they would be able to speak on anything other than what was on the agenda. If we get any comments on anything other than what was on the agenda, David or Jordan, just let me know before the meeting ends. After the next couple items, then I will come back to you one more time. Jenny, next item.
E, comments by Davis Fiscal Court.
Commissioner Caslen, this is your chance to comment.
Pass, Judge.
All right, Commissioner Koger.
Pass.
Commissioner Wathen.
I will pass as well.
And since we have some other business to do, and Commissioner Wathen and I believe are going to the Green River Distillery thing tonight. We need to get out of here, relatively early time. Commissioner Koger, are you gonna be able to go, or are you doing something else?
I'm doing something else.
Okay, so does that mean that Commissioner Wathen and I have to drink your bourbon?
That means you'll have to call me if you need a ride home.
Well, Commissioner Caslen won't be there, so I don't think anybody's gonna need a ride home. Next item, Jenny.
F, consideration for approval. Approval to enter into closed session per KRS 61.810(1)B, deliberations on the future acquisition of sale or of real estate or of real property by a public agency, but only when publicity would be likely to affect the value of a specific piece of property to be acquired for public use or sold by a public agency.
So we need a motion.
Yes, please.
I move to go into closed session.
Okay.
Second. KRS 61810.
I have a motion and I have a second. We will stay out here, everything will go down. We will stay out here with the appropriate folks for the closed session. There will be no action taken. Let's see.
Judge, if I could.
Yes, go ahead.
If I could just make sure that Jordan closes out any people that aren't supposed to be on this closed session.
He will close out everybody except those who are monitoring your Zoom.
Okay.
Well, never mind. All right, all those in favor, Commissioner Caslen,
Aye.
Commissioner Koger,
Aye.
Commissioner Wathen,
Aye.
and Judge Mattingly votes aye. Anyone voting nay? The ayes have it. The motion passes. Claude, you're still there. Do I need to go ahead and close this meeting?
Yes, Judge.
Okay. If there's no other business to be brought before Davis County Fiscal Court without exception, we're adjourned.